Hello. Can older people learn Braille? This is a very important question because Braille gives access to work, school, and lots of things. Obviously, they can because you see people who get blind at an older age and they still learn Braille at a sufficient level to use, for example, a Braille display. Nevertheless, what makes this question controversial is that it requires sometimes a lot of investment, both on the side of the organizations that look after blind people. It simply costs a lot of training hours, and on the side of the person who became blind, because it will take a lot of investment to learn this skill, unless you are lucky. Now, there are two ways to go about this. One, you can say, well, I will try to estimate how quickly somebody would learn this skill. And if I estimate that this would take a long time, I will advise not to do so. And if I think, well, he or she will be able to do so, I will advise to learn Braille. But if you look at the psychometrics, this would be very difficult to achieve technically, at least if you use real hard psychometrics. Of course, you can skip around that by saying, well, there are factors which would help and there are factors which wouldn't help, like, again, then you would say something like, oh, people wouldn't learn so quickly, or like if somebody has a low education, they would not learn so fast. But psychometrically, this would be nonsense because all people do learn Braille, and if you look around, there are a lot of people with low education who still perform brilliantly on a Braille reading, and it seems a skill like typing. So it's really hard to do so. You also could simply try out how quickly somebody learns Braille. But then again, is this because you teach them the right way or because they are slow? You don't know. And you really have to question whether this is the good approach to this question. Why? Because if you look at other fields, you see that training methods extremely determine how quickly somebody learns a skill. For example, if you look at chess players, you will see that an average chess player nowadays has the skill set of a very advanced chess player in the past, simply because training methods have improved dramatically. And you see this in the field of sports. What nowadays is a good amateur would be a world champion in the past. And this is simply because training methods improved dramatically. And improving training methods requires a lot of energy and a lot of thinking, well, how could we train people better? Again, you see the egg and chick problem because most Braille learning techniques are aimed at children, not at older people. And you really have to wonder whether older people don't require another tactic to learn Braille. This would be a really interesting field for training psychologists and so on to take up this question, because it's really relevant. Because, as you know, people at older age do become blind or get lower vision, especially now the population gets grayer and grayer and grayer.